Alright guys, hope you've been well and have been behaving whilst I've been away. Probably haven't, but what can you do? So, I'm still quite busy with festivals at the minute and I won't be properly back in action until the next week or so. But until then, I thought I'd just leave you with this short but sweet video where I describe the dosages of LSD from 20 micrograms to 1500 micrograms. I'm reading this from a post from rollitup.org that I found. It was posted on March 24th, 2011, and it's really interesting the way they describe it, so without further ado, we'll get stuck in. 20 micrograms, threshold, some slight euphoria and body high. 30 micrograms, threshold, same as 20 mics. 40 mics, obviously feeling Lucy's effects a little bit, but again, no visuals, even though they may see some. 60 mics, the typical low quality blotter, body high with an underwater-like feeling. Lights are brighter, colours are slightly enhanced, and some after-imaging and trails. This dosage makes for a good time, even though it isn't considered tripping. Lasts longer and is similar to a gram of shrooms. 90 mics. Bright colours, surfaces start to move, warp or breathe slightly. Confused or reminiscent thoughts. You start to think more. Change of short-term memory leads to continual distractive thought patterns. Your brain starts to speed up and you become more aware of everything. 110 mics. A hit of some really good LSD. Visuals are getting a lot more obvious now. Ripples overlaying your field of vision. Patterns from all different cultures are seen on walls, surfaces, faces, etc. Closed-eye hallucinations become more apparent. 150 mics. This is the main dosage that people try to shoot for if they are not that experienced to get LSD's effects without freaking out. This dose is usually 1 to 2 hits of good, legit LSD. Effects are a lot like 110 micrograms, but more profound. Increments I mentioned will stay the same, but the effects of upping at 50 mics becomes more intense than above the line. 200 mics. This is where things can get powerful. Your mind is racing. Beautiful colours are everywhere. Closed-eye visuals are very apparent at this point. Life-changing spiritual experiences or realizations can happen at this dose. If you're a noob to LSD, this dose is simply too high for you. Many people can handle it quite well, but some may freak out. 250 mics. This dose is the dose Albert Hofmann, the creator of LSD, tried when he first dosed himself to see what LSD's effects were like. The peak of a 250 mic acid trip can be very intense or even scary, but like any LSD trip, once the peak effects wear off, the more comfortable the trip becomes. When the come down started, he was fine, and he became a rock star. Closed eye visuals are amazing at this dose. 300 mics. You're getting into heavy territory now. Still not considered by most to be a heavy dose, but that's only because they know where most people, including themselves, draw the line, if they're experienced. It's a lot like 250 mics really. 400 mics. Most people would never take this much, unless they knew the acid they have in their possession, and really wanted to get pretty far out there. This is why you don't see 200 plus mic hits around. There is some confusing of the senses, i.e. seeing sounds as colours, etc., time distortions, and moments of eternity. Body movement becomes difficult and disorienting. There is a heightened sense of awareness of one's own feelings and drive. People usually report this dose as thought-provoking and life-changing. For some, their ability to discern is somewhat thrown off. They're more likely to respond to suggestive stimuli. It is recommended that there be a sitter to watch over the tripper, just in case he or she would do something that could be a potential hazard. 500 mics. Strong hallucinations and visuals. Objects morphing into other objects, both closed and open-eyed. Destruction or multiple splitting of the ego. Things start talking to you, or you find that you are feeling contradictory things simultaneously. Some loss of reality is felt. Time becomes meaningless. Pretty much, this is where even some of the most experienced people will draw the line. Your vision is almost completely enveloped by fractal patterns, and if you were to stare at some pavement or something, it looks like you can see the end of eternity. Miles and miles of visual depth is experienced, of which there are many subtypes, including Mandelbrot's, spirals, wave interference patterns, etc. 700 mics. Out-of-body experiences and extrasensory perception type phenomena. Blending of the senses. Visuals containing imagery from Hindu, Aztec, Mayan, Native American, Indian, and African cultures are quite common. Most people who talk of taking a 10 strip usually don't have very potent acid, though it is good. So 550 to 700 mics is where they end up. This is also where more acid becomes less important, because the effects are very similar to an even higher dose. 1000 mics. Most people will never go this high. Only shamans and those who really seek it will go this high. If you had a 2 hits and you were floored type of LSD, or 100 mics and up hits, this is where a 10 strip would put you. You basically can't see anything but visuals. Your mind as a whole is infinitely connected with itself and your external environment. Amazing things happen on this dose, no matter whether you use LSD as an entheogen or not. It would scare most people shitless because they were not ready for that dose. And some people even think they're dying, and many would end up dialing 911 if they were alone, and could even read the numbers on the phone. And finally, 1500 mics, of which very few people have even used. It is very psychologically dangerous for some people to do this dose. You can no longer really see your own hand in front of your face. Your cognition and vision are both bathed in the same light. Some people forget to breathe frequently, and I'd imagine a lot of people would pass out. You will lose your ego, but you will meet many organisers of human cognition in this egoless place. They are much smarter than human beings. They are self-conscious neurology. They are the mathematicians behind consciousness, and even the visuals themselves. There is a total loss of visual connection with reality at this dose. The senses cease to function in the normal way. There is a total loss of ego. Merging with space, other objects, or the universe is to be expected. The loss of reality becomes so severe that it defies explanation. The earlier levels are relatively easy to explain in terms of measurable changes in perception and thought patterns. This level is different, in that the actual universe within which things are normally perceived ceases to exist. Satori enlightenment and other such labels are appropriate here. A dose 700 mics and above will show anyone some very profound things. Doses like 500 mics and above have changed many lives in both positive and negative ways.